throws. He lays out and makes the catch.
And we're back for another special episode of the Double Switch Podcast. Behind the off-season one, I think this is probably my favorite. It actually might be my favorite. I love talking trade deadline stuff. What do we got? 1 week until the
next
new
Monday,
August 1st deadline, which was pretty
Tuesday
strange when
then.
I saw it. I don't know why we had to change to July 31st deadline. It just feels like that made a ton of sense. But trade deadline's coming up. We've got plenty of stuff to talk about. There's players that we want. There's players that we don't want. There's players that the Phils need, and there's players that the Phils don't want, and all kinds of stuff here, Johnny. I'm pretty pumped. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Just got back from Tennessee. I actually was lucky, and I got to miss that bad stretch of baseball, and then I came back and was able to see them get a win. So maybe they just need me to come home.
Yeah, how's Tennessee this time of year?
It's beautiful. Not quite as hot as this flat land up here, but it stays cool. Favorite spot.
Yeah. No, I can only imagine. I'm jealous, but let's get right into this. I mean, format here is going to be: I have 3 players I want, you have 3 players that you want, and we also have a couple players that we don't want. We don't think they'll fit. I know we said that we probably want to have overlap, but knowing how this episode is going to go, we're probably going to have players. And if I touch on one of your guys, just feel free to speak up. And I guess that's kind of how we'll go at it. Do you want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
I'll let you go first.
All right. The first guy I want. We don't have to spend too much time on this one because I think we've spoke a ton about it already. I want James Paxton really bad. Every day, I kind of want him a little more. He's on my fantasy team, my good fantasy team, ironically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I see firsthand what this guy can do. When he's healthy, it's always been when he's healthy with James Paxton throughout his entire career. When he's healthy. If he's healthy, he's very, very good, and he's always been pretty good. The problem is he's never healthy. Every year, he seems to get hurt, and you can kind of only expect him for half the season. But fortunately, in this situation, he kind of already missed half a season with the Red Sox. He only started in June. The guy is only capable of 120 innings, so I'm thinking that if he was already out, he might actually be healthy the second part of the year, because that's just what his arm's capable of. And when he's pitching, he's nasty. He's throwing harder this year. Mid-3s ERA, over 10 Ks per 9. ERA mid-3s. Like I said, Johnny, I mean, every year it seems like we get these boring veterans who come here and they just regress to the norm. Kyle Gibson, Noah Syndergaard. We get them and we buy high on them and we think they're going to continue doing what they do here. It's never the case. And the only similarity between all these pitchers is they don't have the stuff. And stuff's not the problem with James Paxton. It's never been the problem. And he's a rental, so I don't think it'll cost too much. And, he'd be my first call. I love the upside. You get this team to October, and you have James Paxton going in a series, a 7-game series. And I just like our odds there,
Yeah, you're not going to get a lot of pushback from me on that one. I think we both love the idea of James Paxton becoming a Philly. We got the connection with Dombrowski used to be with the Red Sox. That could help us in pursuit. I guess my only concern would be what's his contract look like?
Free agent after the season. So I don't think that's going to be a problem. I know they re-signed him last year when his value was pretty low. He was hurt. So I don't know how much money he's owed, but I don't think it's too much. My actual concern is, are the Red Sox going to sell?
I don't think so.
It's very unclear because I don't think that's a team that can do a ton of damage, but they keep winning games. So obviously this is super contingent upon whether they can whether they're in a position to go for it or sell. But if they sell, they'd be my first call. Absolutely.
Sign me up.
Your turn.
I went a little bit of a different route. I think me and you just talking in general have and Phillies fans in general are exploring the idea of a veteran lefty. I see a lot of lefty, but I'm sure there's some righty choices out there too. I don't want to get a rental old guy. If we're gonna go out and get a lefty, I'm gonna buy low, and I'm gonna ask the Angels for Reed Detmers. I think that if Shohei goes, the morale in Anaheim is going to get really bad, and I don't think a lot of their young talent's going to want to be there. And I look at Reed Detmer as a guy who has great stuff and is just underperformed for whatever reason. I looked into it a little bit. It really just goes down to his fastball usage and how he uses his off speed. This year, not doing as well, throwing a lot of fastballs. It's increased the barrel percentage and the hard hit percentage the batters are having. I think that it's the type of guy we bring in. We focus on he's got 4 off-speed pitches. Focus on those 4 off-speed pitches, and Reed Detmers could turn into an option 2024, 2025, and beyond if we do the right thing.
Yeah, so Reed Detmers wasn't on my cheat sheet here that I've been referencing. So the Angels are really, really tricky because if they do sell Shohei Ohtani, if I'm an Angels fan and I sell Shohei Ohtani, I think I want the team to just blow it up and just start over. And if they do that, I think Detmers would be a logical candidate because he's very good. He's super good. The slider usage is kind of how he earns his money. When that pitch is working, he seems to be a super effective pitcher, racks up the Ks. Doesn't seem to go super deep into games, but that's because he's striking people out, and he doesn't exactly pitch to contact. No, I like Reed Detmers, and I think that if the price is right, he's definitely an addition I would welcome. The problem is, I do think that the Angels will ask for a lot because he is controllable, and he is good. And you put those two things together, that usually comes with a high price tag.
Yeah, no, I'm fully aware of his value. I mean,
Are you
he was
willing
a
to
first,
give up? Are you
he's
willing
a
to give
first
up?
round pick, and
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
I would give up a top 5 prospect.
Yeah, he was a first round pick recently, and he flew through the minors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean the tools are absolutely there. It's just a matter of kind of like Paxton. What are they going to be willing to do this deadline? Are they going to sell everybody, or are they going to try to retool? Knowing the Angels, they don't usually do what they should do. In like 10 years of Mike Trout's prime, they don't seem to just see the writing on the wall. Yeah, it's just poorly run team, and I doubt they'd be willing to do that. But no, I'm all about it if they are.
Yeah, I just think it's an opportunity that could pay off short term and long term because there's plenty of development stage. The guy's 24. I think it'd be an awesome addition, but that's my starting pitcher pick. You're up.
Yeah, so second need, it's complicated because obviously we know the team's complicated. But what they definitely need is they need a right-handed corner outfielder. I think that's kind of the agreement here. A lefty, I mean, we've heard rumblings of Bellinger. I don't know if that is exactly what we're looking for. I think it should probably be a righty because JT, Trey, Bomer. We're not going to really talk about the Phils right now, but Castellanos looks freaking terrible again. Yeah, there's just not too many righty thumpers in this lineup. I need somebody that can kind of crush lefties and can bring the pop. And I don't really want to pay through the roof for it, so I'm talking to K Long, and I'm kind of coming up with a name that I think we can kind of rebuild here. Um, Nick Senzel is very interesting. This is a former top prospect. He went number 2 to Mickey Moniak, ironically. And there was a lot of debate between the two during the draft. So Nick Senzel, he's become expendable in Cincinnati because they've just got guys. They've got guys for days. 958 OPS versus lefties. Plays all 3 outfield positions, first base, third base. And I think the Reds, interestingly enough, we kind of line up with pretty well as a trade partner because they want controllable starting pitching, which I think they're going to kind of flip India for. And I think they want relievers who we have kind of, we have bulk relievers at this point. We have so many guys who can get outs in the majors. I'm calling them up and I'm saying, hey, we have some guys here, whether it be Junior Marte or whether it be Connor Brogdon. We'll give you him and we'll give you kind of a lottery ticket here in the minor leagues. A guy with tools, a guy who you can kind of project, who plays a position, we kind of have locked up for a while, kind of like we did with Ohapi. Obviously not catcher again, but something along those lines, And I think Senzel, since he's so expendable, I think they'd be willing to do it. I think Senzel gets moved, and I think he makes sense just based off of what this team needs. We just need guys who can just destroy lefties because our righties are not up to the task right now.
Ah, Nick Senzel, huh?
Wasn't on your list?
That was not on my bingo card tonight. Now we both have a stumper already.
958 OPS against lefties.
Yeah, that doesn't lie. Yeah, I would be very interested. At the trade deadline, I really just love the idea of getting clever and buying low because I think it's such a time where like fans see reports and of guys that are heating up and they're like, trade for that guy, he's hot. You don't trade for a guy when he gets hot because then he'll get cold, and that's the reality. So yeah, Nick Senzel, I think it'd be a great project for K Long and the development team here in Philly. I'm in.
Yeah, I mean, just like Reed Detmers is a little more finish of a product. But Nick Senzel, I mean, he had the tools to be considered a number one overall pick at one point in his life. And there's a best case scenario where that's a very productive everyday player. And I think here's a perfect opportunity to get him for cheap. And yeah, why not? I mean, he can do exactly what Josh Harrison does, better for cheaper for longer.
Yeah, that's a great comparison. He can definitely do those things better than Josh Harrison.
Back to you.
Yeah, I guess this is my corner outfielder. This one is one you've probably heard before. I've heard it online, and I didn't like it at first. I went back and forth with it a couple times, but
Can I have a guess? That was my guess. That was my guess.
I believe it wasn't a hard one. My next one's harder, but I like it. I mean, the guy gets on base at a high rate. He doesn't strike out at a high rate. He keeps his strikeout percentage near that 15 to 20% mark, which is absolutely unheard of in this Phillies lineup, where everyone either strikeouts or gets a hit or walks. There's not a lot of walking on this Phillies team. So I like it, and he's a great defender. I broke it down. His numbers are much better in the corners. The Rockies had him playing center field for a little bit. Not such a good center fielder. Would not put him in center field if that was the Phillies. But, yeah, it's Grichuk.
So completely on board with Grichuk. He was on my list, and there's 4 names here. I consider them all very similar players, and I have them in my I can rationalize trade category. It's him, Tommy Pham, Adam Duvall, and Tyler O'Neill. They all are better corner outfielders. They're all right-handed. They all have some thump. And it's a group of players that I think that, I mean, you're not necessarily trading them and trying to do like the Brandon Marsh strategy, cornerstone. Those are help now players. They won't be super expensive. They all bring something similar to the table. And in a close game in the later innings, they're all players that you're probably comfortable with pinch hitting too. They can impact the game with the long ball, and I think that's just something that's not on our bench right now. You don't have a lot of guys who can come in and you feel like they have a good chance to go yard and impact the game. We kind of hoped Derek Hall would do that. It doesn't look like he's going to be that guy. Rojas, Harrison, Stubbs, they're just not that type of player. And these are all veteran outfielders who can do that, and they won't cost too much. So that's why they're in my I can rationalize category.
Yeah, I guess it just comes down to the asking price for rentals. With those 4 names you just named, I could rationalize them all too, but I can't be giving up a top 10 prospect for these guys. Maybe one, but
yeah, you're probably dying to know the rest in this I can rationalize category. We'll get to that in a bit. Is it back to me now? I think it is.
Yes, be our utility bat.
Yeah, so I went way off the rails with this. This is just me being super creative. I think I know what Kalon can do. I think he can fix anybody. I really do. And I looked across the league for a guy who has the tools, was given an opportunity. He lost his opportunity, and now he's expendable, just like Senzel. I'm calling the Red Sox back. I'm actually kind of going to make it one phone call. I should have included him second, and I could have done them together. Bobby Dahlbeck. This is
Ooh,
this is very interesting because there was a
you
time
have
where
my
I thought
attention.
Bobby Dahlbeck was going to be an impact major league player. But the Red Sox have Tristan Casas, who kind of forced their hand. And you know how that kind of gets when you have a role and you hear the guys coming. You know there's footsteps behind you. You know you're being judged based off of what you're doing, and there's another option. And it affects your morale. It affects your psyche. And I think that's kind of what happened to Bobby Dahlbeck. He has some swing and miss, which, our righties kind of – he's not entirely different in approach from Nick Castellanos, which I don't love. But he's a lot younger, and I think he's a lot more impressionable. He has an 853 OPS against lefties, 127 OPS plus. I think he provides some Rhys Hoskins insurance.
Mm-hmm.
Best case scenario, they're very similar players. He's cheaper. He doesn't have a spot. The Red Sox, there's no reason for the Red Sox to keep him around. It's the sad truth. And there's 40 homer upside in that swing. And he can only play first, but that's a type of bat that can impact the game in the later innings. That's a type of bat that if everything clicks, just impact bat. And why not just bring him aboard and see what Kalon can do? He's like Derek Hall, but better.
Right-handed
And better. So why not, right?
Yeah, I guess why not? That'd be a nice little package deal. James Paxton and Bobby Dahlbeck for I'm not gonna go into packages, but I'm sure Griff McGarry would be in that package.
Yeah, I don't know. If we're already talking to the Red Sox, why not solve two problems with one call?
Well, what if I said I had my utility bat I should also call one of the other teams and make it a blockbuster deal.
Call one of your teams or one of my teams?
No, one of my teams. After I ask about Reed Detmers, I'm asking about Brandon Drury.
Brandon Drury.
Yeah, Brandon Drury.
That's righty pop.
Yeah, he's on the injured list. He's been a little beat up this year, but when playing has been really, really productive. And just his career in general has kind of had a nice maturation period. He's becoming a really just productive hitter. He slugs and gets on base at a great rate. Always be a high OPS guy. And the Phillies have the luxury where we would only use him against lefties, where he absolutely thrives. He mashes lefties. He's got a 2-year, $17 million deal in the first year of it. I wouldn't mind keeping him around a second year and replacing him with replacing Josh Harrison with Drury, because our bench is weak. We need real hitters on the bench.
Yeah, he's like the perfect fringy player that complements his team perfectly. You can first, second, third base DH him, right?
Second, first, and third.
Second, first, and third, righty pop. That's an affordable contract. That's a move for this year and next year. And there's really no incentive for the Angels to keep him. So I don't think the price tag will be that high. He's not entirely different from some of my guys. He's kind of just an older Nick Senzel, it kind of feels like. He crushes lefties. I know that for a fact. His splits are probably pretty drastic. But, that's what we need. You don't really think about the complete player. You think of what the team needs. And makes sense. Absolutely makes sense. And, two problems solved with one phone call. I like it.
Yeah, both of us.
Saving those minutes.
Yeah, Dombrowski's an efficient guy. He doesn't want to waste his time.
Yeah, no, we we can just knock it out with one afternoon with the Angels, and we already have that kind of path set between last year's deals, and no, I can definitely see us kind of working with that. Do you want to go into the guys we don't want, or do you want me to hit on the rest of the guys I have as maybes and I can rationalize and whatever?
Let's go on the guys that we want to avoid.
Okay. I'm going to throw this to you first because mine are just so controversial that I kind of want to set this off on a good note, and you probably have some like kind of neutral guys, and I come out swinging.
I do.
So yeah, you go first.
Jordan Montgomery.
No,
Avoid.
you have him in the no category. Okay.
Well,
he's in my
Jordan Montgomery
category, so.
is a good pitcher. Don't get me wrong, but this whole rebranding of him being an ace, it's bullshit. Frankly, I think the price tag is going to be inflated incredibly, and the Cardinals should because he's having a great year. But now I'm staying away from that price tag. Not necessarily the player, the price tag for the player.
Question: if you had an I can rationalize category, would Jordan Montgomery be in it?
No.
Really?
Well, wait, because it's tough because I'm doing this based off of how expensive I believe he's going to be.
Okay.
And I can rationalize. I can rationalize almost any player if we don't give up anything for them.
Okay, that's true.
You know what I'm saying?
You're taking a super practical approach, which is fair. Yeah, I hear where you're coming from. I've seen stuff that I have seen Montgomery's name kind of glide into the ace category, which is not true. He's a completely reliable, durable, boring pitcher. He's been getting outs in baseball for a while now, and he's probably going to continue to do exactly that. He's good. He's definitely good, and he's definitely going to be very useful to whichever team gets him. But you're correct, and he will probably be very expensive. He's not really secret anymore. He's just a durable pitcher, and those types of players kind of get inflated. We've done it before, we signed the Kyle Gibson, the durable, boring pitcher, and we kind of paid up for it, and it's something that us as fans are always going to struggle with because trades, it's not necessarily just go out and get the best player. It's you're balancing current value with future value against what you're giving up, and it needs to be a perfect formula to kind of make sense. And there's a situation here where we call up the Cardinals and they want one of they want Griff McGarry or they want Johan Rojas, and I don't know if I could completely rationalize that, but he would bring a stability to the back of the rotation, kind of the middle of the rotation, that would be very useful. So I do see both sides of it, but I won't really object too harshly on your opinion there.
All right, I'm just gonna run through mine because I only have 3 guys that I really think they're my headliners to avoid. Cody Bellinger. I think I explained it in the beginning of the podcast. He is going on a tear right now, an absolute tear, hitting 400 since the start of July. Absolutely incredible. I love Cody Bellinger, and yes, I would rationalize type of player. He breaks the mold because I like him, but he is going to cost a top 5 prospect definitely. And 1 year Cody Bellinger is not worth a top 5 prospect. If you didn't know that, you need to hear it.
Yeah, so right above Jordan Montgomery's name in the I can rationalize category is Cody Bellinger, because he will be super expensive. But man, that sounds so fun, doesn't it?
Right.
It sounds fun. He's a marketable, flashy player who he's fun, dude. I've always thought Cody Bellinger's fun, but unfortunately, you can't think like that as a major league general manager. He's going to be expensive because he's insane right now. He's batting .320 with 7 homers in July. He looks like old Cody Bellinger, who was kind of an MVP candidate. And the Mets should, or not the Mets, the Cubs should ask for the moon, and they'll probably get it. But he's also lefty, so
that's not our biggest need.
It's not the most perfect fit, but it'd be a fun summer with Cody Bellinger controlling. I don't even know where he'd play, but
I definitely see the pros of a deal like this, but the cons keep me away just because I know what he's doing right now is not the player he is. It's just a hot streak. Unfortunately, that moves me to my third, a guy that we heard about, felt like every day when the Hoskins injury happened. I haven't heard about it lately, which I'm happy about. CJ Crone. Frankly, he's not versatile enough. Any guy we get really can't just play one position because we have an outfield that's not that flexible. So we just can't do that. We need a guy that can play more than just first base. If we get a first baseman, we would hope he could play a corner outfield spot. To add on to it, he's got nagging back issues. I don't want any part of that. That sounds like a Chris Bryant scenario too.
Yeah, I second that motion. The bat fits, the player doesn't. It's one of those situations, you know.
Yeah, definitely has thump on the right side, but
Yeah.
everything else kind of.
It's
That's all I got.
Okay, so the players that I can rationalize, if we traded for them, I'd be like, and then I'd convince myself I like it. Hunter Renfroe and Joe Adell from the Angels, I could understand both of those trades. The quartet of Tommy Pham, Tyler O'Neill, Adam Duvall, and Randall Grichuk, fine. I could get behind all of them. O'Neill is very interesting because he seems like a player who has a mechanical flaw, and who better to fix a mechanical flaw than K Long? He seems kind of interesting. Jordan Montgomery, we went over that already. Cody Bellinger, we went over that already. Lucas Giolito, I don't think we're going to get him, but if we did get him, I could probably, I could come around on that. Michael Kopech is a very interesting name because Michael Kopech's gross and the White Sox are a mess. So if they're just selling everything, we should, kind of sneak in there and see if we can get a Michael Kopech for cheap because he still throws like 98. He just doesn't know how to use his stuff, and Cotham seems to be able to work with those high octane pitchers and kind of figure out how to, make it work. Alvarado's prime example. Our whole bullpen's a prime example. That seems to be his specialty. It doesn't seem to be like the Aaron Nola prototype. He can't really seem to get the most out of them, and like Zach Eflin. He seems to be able to work with gas, and Kopech throws hard. And my last name is Eduardo Rodriguez, who I don't understand the situation. I know has an opt-out or something. It makes it so complicated. But he's a lefty, and he's just so boring. But he's fine. If we trade for him, fine.
Yeah, it's like a slight notch above like a Christopher Sanchez in my eyes, but
yeah, he's just fine. They wouldn't do much, but eventually I'd probably come around on it. So that moves me on to the names I don't want.
Let's hear them.
I don't want Jack Flaherty or Lance Lynn. I think they both stink, and I don't think they'd help anything. I don't even know if Jack Flaherty is like a major league pitcher at this point. Like he's terrible.
Sad.
He's absolutely
sad,
terrible.
Man.
And Lance Lynn, who has a 6.5 ERA, which like no one's talking about that. That's one of the worst seasons I've ever seen. No, don't want any of them. I don't want Nolan Arenado or Paul Goldschmidt. And I know it's going to get clipped and it's going to end up somewhere. And now it's my chance to defend it. You design a team of superstars like we did, and you spend big time money. The solution is not just to throw more superstars at the team. That's not a team. That's an all-star game roster. And we can kind of see the Padres using that strategy now. It eliminates just all depth because you don't have money to spend on just like the fringy players that fill out a roster. You have too many egos in the locker room, and it's so easy to affect it. I'm not saying that, Goldie and Arenado are bad guys. It's just, there's too much going on with this team and its construction. And I don't know if that will move the needle in the direction that we need to move the needle. It seems like, a lot of the Phillies fans think that it's kind of an arms race in the NL East, but it's really not because the MLB playoffs are not like that. It's not like the NBA. The NBA, you can kind of get away with kind of just getting as many good players as you can, building super teams. MLB does not work like that. It's just not
No.
how it happens. That I have Ohtani on the no trade list, not because I don't think Ohtani's good. Like, he's amazing. He's absolutely amazing, but he's going to cost like our whole farm system, and they might actually ask for some of our starters. They might ask us for Alec Boehm. Like
Ranger Suarez.
This is insane, and we'd be trading for a guy who you're talking like 60 games of Shohei Ohtani. So like, what are we doing? Like, it's cool if you're like playing MLB The Show and you're trying to win like the World Series, but like, this is a team that is designed for next year and the year after and the year after. Shohei Ohtani, Shohei Ohtani like is a DH. We have a bajillion DHs. He hasn't even been that good pitching lately, which no one seems to talk about because he's just been so good with the bat. It doesn't make any sense. And I'm not saying he's bad. He's amazing. He's the best player we'll ever see, but he doesn't make sense for us. And no matter how you look at it, it doesn't work. I'm not even done, but I'd like you can chime in now if you'd like.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that about Ohtani. I don't see how people could go with like a trade like that where we'd be giving up our 3 to 4 of our top 5 prospects and then 3 starters. You just create so many holes that were filled before. He's a great player and would make an impact, but at the same time you're subtracting so much, it would hurt you.
Yeah.
And those are they're not just like ones and twos. These are people. I mean, like, these guys are used to being in the clubhouse. They have relationships with the team. You don't just do that. You can't trade like 7 players for.
It's just not how you build a team.
And why would he want to come to Philly anyway?
Yeah,
he wouldn't last a second here.
Even if like we didn't have to give up all the prospects, and this is the off season, and we're talking money, which you and I are a lot less. We don't really care as much about the payroll construction of the team. We care about the prospects. Even if it was the off season, I still wouldn't be saying we should get Shohei Ohtani because it still wouldn't make any sense. It does not make sense at all.
Not for us. Someone else is going to sign him, and that's great.
Yeah. All to him. And hopefully you have your DH spot open because he's a DH. He's a DH. He's not a left fielder.
All right. How many more do you got? Because I believe we got the Orioles game soon.
Yeah, so I should have reordered this and done Ohtani last because my last name's Michael Lorenzen, who is really boring. And nothing's wrong with him. He just gives me bad vibes. I feel like he'd stink if we got him here. So, that's my guys I don't want. Michael Lorenzen. Don't forget.
That's funny. Michael Lorenzen was in my I was considering him.
Michael Lorenzen. I don't know what it is about Michael Lorenzen, but I just can't. I don't think he's good. Like, he's proving me wrong, but I ain't buying it.
Yeah. No, it is a tough one to buy. I agree on that.
So real quick, I owe it to myself to check on the rest of my notes here. Last 2 names who I think are very interesting. I don't know how deep I want to go into them because it's kind of a rabbit hole. But Juan Soto, I know. Juan Soto, he becomes a little more interesting every day, I feel like, because he's a left fielder, which, we kind of need. He has so much chemistry, and K Long's here, and the Padres might be selling. So it's becoming a little interesting. I don't want to talk about it too much, but I'm intrigued.
Yeah. I'll just veto that with a different response than most people are giving. People think he'll be a clubhouse cancer. I don't think that would be an issue at all whatsoever. My issue is we would be replenishing the Padres farm system and making them have a very nice, bright future, and we'd be turning into the Padres.
That's true. Yeah, I don't want to go too deep into Juan Soto. I knew it'd be a rabbit hole. Shouldn't have even brought it up, but just interesting. We owe it to ourselves to talk about it. So that's all I got. Do you got anything else before we wrap this up? I know
No,
the
I
game
think
already started. So
we'll make sure to hop on for another podcast right before the deadline next week. Hopefully some moves have started, and then we can get a better landscape of who's actually available to the Phillies.
yeah, in just about a week's time, we'll be doing our reaction pod to whoever they get, whether it be a big name, little name, or whether they don't even do anything. We'll be here and we'll react to it. And yeah, it's a fun time of the year.
And maybe we'll guess one right.
Probably not.
Yeah, probably not.
Alrighty. With that being said, thank you guys as always for listening. And once again, training camp's starting up soon, so go give Pick Swap Media and all of their feature podcasts a listen, and we will be back next week to talk it out again. Thank you guys.
Go Phils.